Yo guys, so you see the days where I was in secondary school, huh? We had this peculiar problem that was rampant to us, most of the young men in the school. Because around that time, we had hair growing on our legs, and our school was also not that well kept. No, let me not say that. Our school was most of the times bushy. So when you are going from your classroom to the to get something from the canteen or from the food vendors, you'll be walking and like it was bushy. So the path was just made for walk. So the paths were not big enough. So you have a small path and you're walking in the small paths to go get something. And most of the times we walk in groups. So if you're walking like two people, three people, and you are having a discussion, you cannot be leaving one person behind. So most of the times we'll be walking and some will have to walk in the bush. So it was rampant. And with the young guys who are growing up around that time, our legs had started developing hair. So what will happen was that when we go and come, you see there are these pollens, little pollens that are most of the times on the weed, and then the pollens will end up being trapped on our hair, the hair on our leg. It was actually very uncomfortable to have those pollens on your legs. So we decided to devise a strategy so that we cannot have the pollens on our hair, on our legs again, and also we would feel a little bit more cool because it was very uncomfortable. So it will increase our feeling of comfortability whilst we were in the school. So this is what we decided to do. We started putting on long socks. You see, you put on the socks to the extent that it's almost at your knee level. So the pollens will not get a chance to get stuck on your legs. Yeah. So we started doing that, and then it was me and a friend of mine who decided to bring up that plan. Yeah. So we did that and it started working. We realized that we were becoming more comfortable. We realized that we were walking anywhere we wanted to walk, but we didn't have the pollens on our legs, which would make us uncomfortable. And sometimes it was very itchy as well. So we didn't have that itchiness around our legs. It was comfortable for us. It was cool. So we just decided to just keep it up. Since it's helping us, we just decided to keep it up. And we were doing this and we kept doing it. We went to form. I think we started doing it in Form 2. So we went to Form 3, Form 4. We were still doing it until we graduated. So I think when our juniors came into the school, without knowing the history behind the reason why these seniors are putting on long socks, they also saw it and felt like it was cool. So they also started that same trend. So it was actually the cool guys amongst them that used to put on the long socks because it looked weird. Yeah, it did. It did look weird in a way. But then anyway, and it became a tradition in the school. So that tradition continued even up to today, up till now. Some of the cool guys, you see them when they're wearing long socks. And most of them don't even know the reason why the tradition of long socks started up to date. But yet now they have asphalt on their roads, their school roads. Like when you walk into the school, they have asphalt there. They have pavement blocks here and there. Like everywhere is like a bit kept than it was in our time. But they are still maintaining that tradition of having long socks, which makes them look cool. It's actually a cool look though, even though it's awkward. So this brings me to the topic of this item. Yeah, this very one. So a lot of us have been seeing our judicial generals wearing this thing. Wig, I think it's called court wig. Yeah, they have been putting on the court wig. And a lot of us don't know the reason why they have been putting on the court wig. Yeah, so it all started in the year, I think 1680 something. I'm not actually good with dates, but I know it's 1680 something. Yeah, in the 1680s. So there was this King Louis the 13th. He was the monarch leader of, I think, Great Britain or so. So he had a problem at that point of receding hairline. His hairline was receding. So he was actually feeling a bit ashamed of his hairline receding, which I am thinking about. Why would a man feel ashamed about his hairline when it is receding? It is part of life. But then anyway, he started feeling ashamed of it. It started making him insecure. So he decided to put on wig. He decided to put on a wig to cover that part of his face, so that you will not see that K Akwano or Yakokra, or you will not see that K this our king is growing older. Because most of the times the kings, the monarchs, they don't like to portray being old. So he started putting on these wigs. So he will wake up in the morning, put on the wig, and then, freshen up, go to the courtroom. And I am imagining the first time he went to the courtroom with that wig. Everybody was like, hey, what has happened to our king? He's not putting on the wig. But then with time, it became a normal thing, and everybody adapted it. And you see, one thing about monarchy is, if you see your king, or even leadership, is everywhere. If you see that your leader is practicing something peculiar, you tend to question it a bit, and then before you realize you're also into it, you're also practicing it. So that is what happened with King Louis the 13th. And then after his succession, after his rulership, his child, his son, which was King Louis the 14th, also became a king, and he decided to make it a part of the law, so that because around that time all the executives were all practicing that same tradition. It had become a tradition that they were all used to. So they would just put on the wigs, and it's actually a very nice disguise, because if your hair is receding and you have wig on, nobody will see that your hair is receding. And this is actually the reason why even some of the old pharaohs, you see, the pharaohs, they also used to put on wigs. When I say the pharaohs, the rulers of the Egyptian kingdoms around that time, long time ago before Christ, they were all putting on wigs. So King Louis the 14th decided that, okay, let me make this part of the law, so that if you are coming to a courtroom, because that's where the kings spend most of their times, in the courtrooms. Yeah, making sure the issues that are brought to them are dealt with appropriately. So they spend most of their times in the courtroom. Yeah. So he added it to the laws that if you are coming to the courtroom, you have to put on your court wig. That is what they have been practicing from there up till now. And if you would observe, almost all of the colonies of the Great Britain, almost all of the colonies, the people that were colonized by the Britain Kingdom, with Ghana included, almost all of them have that wig cap on in their courtrooms. And that is where it originated from. And it looks cool though. And one fun fact about that wig cap is, you see, when you are called into bar, they give you a white wig cap. Wig cap. You say wig cap or all this one, they give you a white cut wig. Cut wig. Yeah, they give you a white cut wig. And then the white cut wig is actually a sign that you are new in law. So you see, when you keep putting it on and you keep coming to the courtroom for cases, it starts to fade and it starts becoming darker. And there is a code that the lawyers use. Now, when they meet themselves in the courtrooms, they know that the one that has the darker court work, he is the one that has spent more time in the industry, in the business, in the judicial system. Yeah. So that is how they actually classify themselves as judges. Yeah. So you see that most of the big judges, when they are coming to town, they put on their wake up, and it's more darker than the upcoming ones. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.